You may be seated. This is the trial of Emily Brent on the charge of murder of Patrice Taylor on the 5th day of November, 1931. Ms. Brent, please stand. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
You. Bailiff, will you please bring in the jury? Who is representing the people?
Myself, Miss Anderson, and my partner, Mr. Cameron.
Prosecution, are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
You may be seated. Who's representing the defendant?
We are. I am Miss Jade Lynn, and this is Sydney.
Are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
All right, we'll begin. We'll start the trial with opening statements. I'd like the prosecution to make their opening statement first, please.
Good morning. I'm Miss Anderson, and this is my partner, Mr. Cameron. Beatrice Taylor worked for Miss Brent until she got pregnant. When Miss Brent found out Taylor was pregnant, due to Miss Brent's morals, she fired her and kicked her out of her home onto the street. Our evidence proves that Miss Brent is guilty of the murder of Miss Beatrice Taylor. Our witnesses will tell you that she is very religious and does not approve of impurity before marriage and thinks women like her are a disgrace to society. Therefore, she is guilty.
Counsel for the defendant, would you like to make your opening statements? Proceed.
Here we have a woman who has led a long and godly life. She goes to church more than once a week and is in a Bible club. She doesn't curse or drink. She follows a straight and narrow path. She would and has never harmed anyone in her life. The prosecution is going to try to convince you that Beatrice Taylor's death was Miss Brent's fault. But myself and Jade Lynn will prove that without a doubt, our defendant is innocent.
Thank you. Is the prosecution ready to bring their first witness?
Yes.
All right, please bring your first witness.
We would like to call Nikki Smith to the stand.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the court.
Nikki Smith.
You may be seated.
How long have you known Miss Brent?
Since she moved in 2 doors or 2 houses down.
How often did you guys meet?
We barely talked. I didn't very much like Miss Beatrice. Miss Brent.
What did she say about Miss Taylor?
At first she seemed to like her, and
At first she seemed to like her, but as time went on, she got even more mad at her. I saw her yelling at her a couple times.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions for the witness?
Yes.
Proceed.
So, would you say that you knew Miss Brent well, or just a good hello every morning?
Well, I wouldn't say a good hello every morning. She wasn't very nice to me, but we talked.
And what did your conversations usually include with Miss Brent?
Well, at first she always used to talk about how she loved her Bible class and how I should be more quiet at nights when my parties were going. But
What did she have to say about Miss Beatrice Taylor? Did conversations ever come up with her?
yes, at first she was always "Oh, Beatrice is so cool," or, well, she wouldn't say cool, and she would keep going on and on about her. But then after a while, she always talked about how loose she was and how she didn't follow her Bible stuff.
And do you know why she changed her opinion about Miss Beatrice Taylor?
I think it's because she got pregnant.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Witness may be seated. Does the prosecution have any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Counsel for the defendant, do you have any witnesses you'd like to bring today?
Yes, we do. We would like to call to the stand Miss Catherine.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please state your name for the court.
Catherine.
You may be seated.
How do you know the defendant, Miss Brent? I was in a Bible club with her. Did she seem very religious? Yes, she was quite the Bible thumper. She did not approve of this new generation. She believed God controlled her life and was always watching her. She walked the path with God, so to say. She believed breaking the law would be immoral. Did Miss Brent talk to the Bible group about Beatrice Taylor? Yes, she said she was a sad case, a girl who got pregnant young and unmarried. She believed her to be a girl who lost the righteous way of life. She fired her due to her problem. Thank you. That is all, Your Honor.
Does the prosecution have any questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Witness, you may step down. Does counsel for the defendant have any further witnesses?
We would like to call to the stand the defendant, Miss Emily Brent.
Please take the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Please state your name for the court.
Emily Brent.
You may be seated.
So, Miss Brent, Beatrice Taylor worked for you?
Yes.
And about how long would you say she worked for you?
Not very long.
Okay. And at first, what was your overall opinion of her?
She had nice manners. She was clean and willing.
So, at first, you really liked Beatrice Taylor. You had no problems.
Yes.
Did you ever get in any confrontations or arguments?
Not at first.
Okay. And later, right about this time you fired her, what was your opinion of her?
She was loose with no morals, and
And when you did fire her and she left, there were no problems? She just left happily and was fine?
no. I fired her.
No further questions.
Prosecution, do you have any questions for the defendant?
Yes, we do.
Please proceed.
You say you fired Miss Beatrice Taylor because of the fact that she was loose and had no morals. Don't you find this discrimination in some way?
No. I didn't approve of her way of life, so I didn't want that kind of influence around me.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may be seated. Does counsel for the state or the defendant have any further witnesses they'd like to bring?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, we're going to proceed with closing statements. We'll have the prosecution begin by making their closing statement to the jury.
In closing, Miss Emily Brent refused to help Beatrice Taylor due to some immoral behavior she had taken part in. She removed her from employment and kicked her out of her home, and felt it completely moral and felt guilt in no way. This is why we hope you will see that Miss Brent is guilty.
Thank you. Would counsel for the defendant like to make their closing statement?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor and members of the jury, you have seen and heard the witnesses speak. You have heard that Miss Emily Brent was of a very religious group and had heard their standards from Miss Catherine. It was also clearly stated that Beatrice Taylor drowned after jumping into a river or lake. You have seen that Miss Emily Brent is strict about certain behavior because of how religious she is and had no control over Miss Beatrice Taylor's actions after what had happened. For the sake of this woman, see her innocent of this crime.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have a decision to make today. Our defendant is brought here today on charges of murder of Miss Taylor. As you know, the state has the burden of proof to prove beyond a reasonable doubt or beyond a preponderance of the evidence that, we strike that, beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant murdered Miss Taylor. The burden is clearly on the state. You need to go back to the jury room to deliberate. The decision must be unanimous. Please keep in mind that the defendant is innocent until proven guilty. Do you have any questions? Bailiff, we take the jury to the jury room. Thank you. Court's now in session. Will the foreman of the jury please stand? Madam Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
Yes, we have.
Will the defendant please stand? You may read the verdict.
The verdict is innocent.
Say you all. Defendant, you're free to go. Court's dismissed.